Hello everyone, my name is Azatru, how are you, and welcome to a very special Star Wars Squadrons video. Throughout this video, you will be watching exclusive, never before seen gameplay of Squadrons, plus finding out brand new information and my impressions on everything I played, including the campaign's prologue. Make sure you watch until the end of the video because you do not want to miss anything I have to share. This game has a private alpha test and invites to a select few members of the public have gone out already, but recording the gameplay from that test is not allowed. But thanks to EA Game Changers, I was selected to be able to record gameplay early for you ahead of the test, so this is the first of many videos that I'll be showing gameplay of Squadrons. I also got to ask the developers questions, give some feedback, and find out new information, plus reveal these incredible new screenshots to you. Just take a look at them. Before I do share any of the never before seen gameplay, skins, and any in-depth new details, I'm going to quickly talk about what was included in the alpha. Over the 4 hours of playtime, I got a chance to fly all 8 of the ships, so the 4 on both sides, across the campaign prologue, fleet battles, dogfight, the fleet battles training, and practice range missions. Both of these will be great for any pilots just starting out. For example, in the practice range, you can literally spawn capital ships at will, and this is fantastic. There was a bunch of customization to unlock for the ships and pilots. I'm going to be sharing more details and gameplay of the customization in action in just a few moments, so make sure you do stick around. I also want to stress that not all of the content in the final game is in the alpha. For example, there is more cosmetics at launch. Let's get into my gameplay impressions for a bit. This is the most important part. After all, it is a video game. So the gameplay did not feel at all similar to Starfighter Assault in Battlefront 2. The ships handle completely different, and this is a good thing. The movement feels nice in the hand, and you can do all kinds of maneuvers, whereas in Battlefront 2, it was very limiting. There is so much more to manage and control, which did feel a bit overwhelming at times, but the game is engaging and fun, especially when there are objectives to attack and defend, plus the Star Wars fantasy storylines. A point I have to call out is just how satisfying getting hits on a ship and destroying them is. It's a real highlight for me. The entertainment factor of dogfights did wear off fairly quickly because it is simply just the team deathmatch mode that we see in many other games. Also, the respawn timer is way too high for this game mode. The downtime in the mode overall is just so bad, at least on the SLS level. Because there is only 5 players, it just is kind of boring when you're having to wait to respawn and there's a lot of travel time before you get into action. I am not a TDM guy and want objectives to play, to defend and attack, and that is why fleet battles was so much more fun. The game length lasted for more than 20 minutes each time. There is a 30-minute timer on the game mode, and I still think the respawn timer needs to be brought down in this game mode. I did speak to the developers about this, but the back and forth action was very good. However, it was hard to see what needed to be shot on the capital ships. It wasn't entirely clear to me, and I wasn't sure if I was doing good work. I looked at the scoreboard and I was usually at the top for capital ship damage, but there just wasn't enough feedback to tell if I was causing much damage. Regardless, I can see myself playing this game mode more than anything else in the game, but I just hope there is a bit more longevity in it than I think there is. I played on the Nadari Dockyards map, and whilst it did look nice, it felt pretty narrow in the midsection with a lot of rock and structure, and it just wasn't a good location in my opinion. I'd much prefer something that is wider, of more open space, with a little bit of cover, and hopefully we will get that on the other maps. The pilot's briefing room is cool, and it allows you to see your teammates, do emotes, NPCs, see NPCs such as gonk droids, inspect your ship and customize 2 or 3 of the loadouts per ship, and the cosmetics for you, the pilot, and ships. You can't walk around in the briefing room or the hangar, which is really frustrating to me for some reason, because it feels like you should be able to have at least some bit of movement, and you can't. All you can do is look and point to specific locations that are predetermined by the developers. That leads me nicely into something I want to touch on, which is the controls. No pun intended. For my playthrough, I mostly used an Xbox controller, which is better than using a mouse and keyboard in this game. And whilst the basics on a controller are easy to operate, like power management and the axes, which are very intuitive, I really do like how it works, the ping system and other stuff was quite a lot to take in. There were double taps, there were hold for various functions, and it was a lot to remember and use at the same time. I just found myself loving the instruments to track enemies and keep on top of the ship values, but there is so much going on and it did feel quite overwhelming jumping into fleet battles without going through a bit more of the story and training time. I will post a picture of the control scheme on screen right now so you can see what it looks like in the alpha currently. And here is the keyboard and mouse alpha scheme. If I had plenty of time and no pressure to learn the control scheme, it would feel much better. On the bright side, every single button for the controller is remappable in-game, which is absolutely fantastic news, making it super customizable. There is also going to be multiple preset schemes as well. I did use a mouse and keyboard for a little bit at the start when I was trying out the game for the first time, and it was a challenge to aim and target enemies without having time to learn and change settings. Speaking of settings, there was a nice selection of video settings available for the PC, that is what I played on. There is nothing extensive, but the options to toggle off the UI and play names, film grain, lens distortion and more is such a win for me. Next up is a quick showcase of the customization in the alpha from ships to pilots. I'm going to be going more in depth with everything in a separate video because it requires a lot more time and I don't want to keep you guys for long during this video. I'm going to post that cosmetics in-depth video after this one. I'm going to start with the ships before moving on to the pilots. There are various sections of unlocks that you can change. The first section is gameplay components. You get a description and stats as to what they do change. The next section, which takes us on to cosmetics, is paint, and this changes the whole skin of the ship. Then we have decals, which allow for logos to be placed on set locations on the ship, such as the wings of the X-Wings. And then we have holograms, and I really do like these a lot. Same goes for the dashboard items and hanging flares. These just add a lot of character to the interior of your ships. They're just very nice. They are neat items that you will see all of the time when you're flying, and they have connections to other Star Wars media and lore, such as Gideon Hask in a hologram and a Luke Skywalker toy. Again, there are more cosmetics in the launch version of the game. These are just a fraction of what there is at launch. And lastly, for my campaign prologue impressions, I have to say I was impressed with the intro. There are no major spoilers ahead and the setting was already announced, but if you want to go in blind, this is your chance to watch another video of mine. Go check out my channel for one of the previous that you may have missed. But still here? Great. Now let's talk about what was in the game, because I wasn't allowed to record the footage, but I can tell you exactly what happened. So it lasted for around 30 minutes or so. You started off as the Empire before switching to the Rebellion about halfway through, and you got to learn some story that happened during A New Hope. So it takes place after the destruction of Alderaan, which is really interesting, and you can choose your character, you can customize them straight away, including their name, at the very beginning. The cutscenes are very interesting. There are different types of cutscenes, so a few of them have this really nice animation art style, all these motion graphics. It looks phenomenal, and they show the story of the destruction of Alderaan, and then the first Death Star's trench run. Darth Vader and Princess Leia do have some lines in this. You get to see them. They're probably the Battlefront 2 models for both of them in this art style. And then there is even a cameo of Bail Organa too, R.I.P. The majority of the cutscenes are similar to Battlefront 2's though, and they look great. Most of them seem to be rendered in-game, but I think some of them might be pre-rendered. I'm not 100% sure. The two missions that you have to do in the prologue were set up to learn the controls more than anything, with some important objectives crucial to the story. You'll get some commands from people like Admiral Akbar in a hologram, for example, that just adds so much Star Wars going on. It's just great. I can confirm that the TIE Advanced from the Rebels TV show is flown by a main character, so it's in the game but not playable. The developers said that the campaign is not short, but it ain't long either. They are not putting out a rough hour time limit of how long you've probably got in the campaign. The playtime will vary depending on who you are. There are a bunch of side objectives to do during missions which add time, but they are all optional, and there is also things to do in the briefing rooms between missions, so you can listen in on NPC conversations and such. You can take time to customise things. This will all add to your playtime, so if you want to go around soaking up all of the lore, then you're going to be in this game for quite a while. You get medals for completing the missions and the main objectives, as well as the side objectives. So if you are a completionist, then you want to get all the medals, then you do the side objectives. I was quite engaged and I could not wait to play more. I just hope the gameplay objectives keep being as interesting as the plot. That is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I've got a bunch of more Squadrons content coming up, so make sure you do subscribe and turn notifications on so you don't miss any of them. And please do share your opinions down in the comments. And if you are new, please do drop a like on this video to support the channel, and thank you again very much for watching. Check out any of the 2 previous videos on screen if you did miss them, and I shall see you in my next Star Wars Squadrons video. Goodbye.